Uncle Doug.
Uncle Mark.
Despite my obvious overabundance of intelligence, I was not a good student.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wasn't a good student.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one. Were you a good student, Doug?
I don't think any of the three of us were terribly good students, actually.
I think you were better than me, Doug. But
I don't know, but all right.
I'll bet I had the worst GPA out of high school.
You may have, but I had 5 periods of art my senior year, so I did pretty well my senior year.
See, there you go. I dropped out my senior year. So.
There you go.
You know the only class that has any practical application to my life now that I took in high school? Typing.
That was a good one.
It is.
Keyboarding, it was called back in those days.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it was. Wasn't
And I'll bet we all learned on typewriters.
I learned on a
for sure.
manual cha-ching
Yeah.
typewriter.
Yeah.
If you were lucky, you got the one that had the little ball.
The IBM Selectric. When that showed up in my dad's office when I was like 12 years old, I was like, my God.
Oh, my God. We are so fucking old, you guys.
The
Anyway,
future is now.
let's, should we dive into my...
Bye, millennial listeners.
Right?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
None of this.
Okay.
We're off of the typewriters and back into the world of the Bible. Because, fellas, back in episode 110, Uncle Doug had a small breakdown recalling the absolutely awful lesson Jesus taught us with the parable of the prodigal son.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I'd do another terrible parable this week and was looking at the laborers in the orchard. I don't know if you guys know this one, but I didn't think Doug would be okay with that. So I decided it's basically the same thing. I'll just really quickly, the laborers in the orchard is just a homeowner, a wealthy guy goes to Home Depot and gets some cheap labor to work in his field for 12 hours for a 12-hour day. They agree on a set amount, and then he sends them out into the field. And then a few hours later, he goes and hires some more dudes and sends them out to work in the field. And then a few hours later, he hires some more. And then even at the 11th hour of a 12-hour day, he hires some more laborers, sends them out into the field. And then at the end of the day, he pays everybody exactly the same amount. And then the first laborers who've been working for 12 fucking hours are like,
No.
can I call bullshit on this? To which the homeowner says, I paid you what I told you I would pay you. I just also paid the guys who only worked 1 hour that same thing, and fuck all y'all.
Yeah, life's a bitch. Suck it.
Also,
That's which is the moral of the story.
yeah,
that
what is
Jesus-
the lesson here? And the guy is both an asshole and an idiot.
Right.
If he's paying people worked 1 hour the same as people that worked a 12-hour
Right.
shift,
In this case,
he's a moron.
In this case, I think, according to most interpretations, that the idea is that even if you convert on your deathbed, the Lord will still give you all of the rewards that somebody who was good their entire life.
And people say Jews are good with money. Like, where does that come from? Where does that even come from? I don't know.
Well, he's a Christian.
It's another lie.
Jesus was the first Christian, and he started a long tradition of not being good with money.
Oh, there you go.
Even if the moral of that parable was that you can you convert and confess on your deathbed,
Right.
that is an immoral moral.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the actual moral of that story, if we were to take it for what it's worth, is put it off as long as you can.
Yeah.
That is clearly the moral of the story, just like the prodigal son.
Yeah.
Just have as much fun as you can. You got until at the last moment. Just don't get hit by a
these
bus.
people
Yeah,
that
exactly.
have been miserable their whole lives being Christians,
Right.
and doing all the things,
Right.
go to the same heaven as, Kid Rock,
Right.
who on his deathbed, I don't know why I picked him because I hate him, who on his deathbed says, "I love you, Jesus."
Yeah, it's like
Right.
if you fall off a ladder and you
Yeah.
can get "I love you, Jesus" out before you hit the ground. You're in.
Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, if Hitler falls off a ladder,
So anyway, by the way, that's the conclusion of those parables. I will point out to you, and we'll learn that parables contradict each other at
Naturally.
times and whatever. But today, I went on a parable hunt, and somehow I landed in Luke. And now I've never read the Bible from front to back because I have ADHD, and it's a terrible book, and I think my head would explode.
yeah,
So it holds a lot of surprises for me. This week's surprise was how many damned parables the New Testament can squeeze into a small space. I was even a little surprised by how weird and bad and nonsensical many of them are. I shouldn't have been surprised by that because, I've read any of the Bible,
yeah.
but I was.
Yeah.
Anyway, the problem was most of them are pretty short and they don't make any sense, and I didn't know how to present one of them here in a way that was right for our format.
Right.
So I did a quiz. It's
yeah.
a quiz for you guys to make you guys
Get ready
look
to
like
sit
idiots.
through a quiz with 3 C students.
That's right.
It'll be entertaining.
Why was there a confession about your grades at the beginning of this segment
Hey,
anyway?
you know what?
Because I knew a quiz was coming.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, seriously? You didn't understand that?
He's a C student.
Hey, back off.
It takes
Yeah.
a while to pick up on these things.
Yeah.
All right. So here are the rules. I'm going to read a bunch of bullshit, and you have to decide whether that bullshit came from the Bible. And be aware, I may have messed with it slightly to obscure familiar references. Or
Okay,
throw you
to
off
protect the
scent.
innocent.
Right, yeah. Or whether I just made it the fuck up. Round 1 has 2 parables, and you have to guess which one is real. You should know, and you should know on this one that I made one of these up and then found the other one and was like, "What the fuck, really?"
It's like the same one.
It's like there are several parallel things that happen.
Okay.
They are not the same parable, but there's
Parallel parables.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Probable parallel
A pair of
parables.
probable.
Yeah.
It's got a parabola. Anyway, which of these is true? Number 1. A Pharisee invited Jesus to eat with him, so he went in and reclined at the table. But the Pharisee was surprised when he noticed that Jesus did not first wash before the meal. Then the Lord said to him, "Now then, you Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness. You foolish people! Did not the one who made the outside make the inside also? But now, as for what is inside you, be generous to the poor, and everything will be clean for you. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you give God 1/10 of your mint, rue, and all other kinds of garden herbs, but you neglect the justice of and the love of God. You should have practiced the latter without leaving the former undone."
I'm going to go true. Is that the question? Is it
No.
true?
Now you're going to hear the second number 2.
Okay.
And you're going to decide which one is which.
Okay,
is the
okay.
true one. All right, here's number 2. A peddler was selling his wares and was approached by a wealthy young Pharisee. "Sell me a cup and a plate right now," the young man demanded rudely. "I am in a hurry and do not have time to bargain with a poor man, so I will pay you whatever price you ask." The peddler was taken aback by the tone of the young man and refused. "No, I won't sell you these things, though you offer a fair price. I will not suffer that you should treat me this way." The Pharisee demanded again, saying, "You will sell me these things. I have guests and not enough to serve them all. You are wicked to deny me." Again the peddler refused. "Sell me the cup and plate," said the Pharisee, "or I'll call the authorities and they will destroy your wares and ruin your business. But if you sell to me, I'll pay double your price." Then the peddler said to him, "I will sell to you, and take only my regular price for the sake of your guests."
Okay.
The theme is Pharisees and plates.
The first one,
I detected that.
I think
I'm not Doug.
Okay, I think the first one is an actual parable and the second one's not. But the problem with the first one is it seems like there's an actual moral to it, and it makes sense, which is a strike against it. Mm-hmm. The second one, you said a young Pharisee?
Yeah.
That makes me suspicious.
A wealthy young Pharisee.
Wealthy young Pharisee makes me suspicious.
I think the first one's true based on several things that I won't expound on here.
You are correct.
Yay!
You are correct. The first one was from Luke chapter 11, verse 37 through 42.
I thought it was 37 through 42.
Yeah, I knew you would. I kind of figured you had a beat.
Felt
on
like it was kind of in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. You're both right on that one. But that was just the warm up.
Our GPA is 4.0 right now.
So
we should
far.
stop now.
Okay, this one is just true or false. Did I make it up, or did or is it biblical? Okay, Jesus drove a demon out of a man, but some people in the crowd said, "You drove that demon out using the power of a greater demon." Jesus said, "If Satan's demons were fighting against each other, then his power would be diminished. So this must not be the case. When a strong man, fully armed, guards his own house, his possessions are safe. But when someone stronger attacks and overpowers him, he takes away the armor in which the man trusted and divides up his plunder. When an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, I will return to the house I left. When it arrives, it finds the house swept clean and put in order. Then it goes and takes 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there, and the final condition of that person is worse than the first.
I walked out of that play in the second act. Like that, and that's what makes me think it's real.
Well,
He was just a terrible fucking storyteller.
exactly. That's exactly. I think it's made up.
I will tell you this. In mine, I tried to approximate terrible storytelling.
Yeah.
In all of the ones that I tried to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I put literally zero pressure on myself to ever have an actual moral to any of the stories.
Right,
Just so
because
that
there
you-
aren't any.
I feel like it's made up, but its incoherence and lack of any kind of structure definitely makes me think it might be
No,
true.
it's a good decoy if it's a decoy.
I'm going to stick with false.
Okay, so we got 1 true, 1 false.
yeah.
Luke! That one was Luke. Chapter 11, verses 14 through 26. The part that I skipped, by the way, and I did reword some of the beginning of it, but
Yeah.
the last parts that I read were all directly from the New International Version. And the one part that I skipped because it would give it away was, whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters.
Right.
Which is familiar to a lot of people, but also
Right.
doesn't make any sense and is crazy.
So what is the moral of that fucking parable? If you guard your house but then leave for a while, 7 guys will come in, clean it.
I know there was
And then leave.
there was a whole scene about sweeping.
Well, and I also skipped the part about the fact that the greater demon that they accused him of using to drive out the demon
Forgot
in
about the
first
demon.
Yeah.
was Beelzebub or Beelzebul.
Yeah. How did a cool story about a demon end with sweeping?
Right.
Like garbage.
It's so
It's garbage.
confusing.
It's garbage and therefore true.
I just kept reading these and going, wait, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Half of these, and that's the thing about Jesus's parables, right? They're either painfully obvious,
Right. Yeah.
Like for instance, I did look at the parable of the Good Samaritan,
Yeah.
but it's literally just the most obvious thing in the world. Who's the nice guy in this story?
Right.
The one that helped.
That helped the guy who'd been burgled and beat the shit out of.
Right.
Yeah.
So, wow, Jesus, you nailed that one.
That's a head scratcher.
All right. We got another which is true. One of these is mine. One of these is the Bible.
All right.
Here we go. Number 1. When Jesus brought them out of that town, one of the company said to him, Rabbi, we have followed you for many miles, but there is little to eat, and we are tired. Jesus answered, There was a man brought before a magistrate for stealing the fruit of his neighbor's garden.
Can you imagine when you're hungry and
Yeah.
this is what you're like, oh fuck, really?
Yeah, another fucking story.
Oh, this guy.
Okay. The man was brought before a magistrate for stealing the fruit of his neighbor's garden. The magistrate looked upon him, saying, Why have you stolen from your neighbor? The man answered, I have no food, and am very hungry. The magistrate frowned at this, and said to the man's neighbor, Is there not enough that you might share? But the neighbor was angry, and said, Why must I give that I have wrought of my own labor? Is it not mine, though there is abundance? The magistrate thought on this, and said, Let him labor for you in your garden, for as we labor, so shall we eat. It is thus with the kingdom of the Father.
Okay.
That's number 1.
There was a handful of polysyllabic words in there, so that makes me suspicious it wasn't Dan.
Okay, that's probably fair.
Yeah. I think it may be true because it sounds like it's probably the origin of charities making you hear a fucking sermon before you can eat. Right?
Okay, here's number 2.
All right.
Someone in the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, You have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. But God said to him, You fool! This very night your life will be demanded of you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whosoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God.
Okay. Both are actually somewhat coherent.
Yeah.
Is he tricking us?
The second one had a fairly consistent narrative arc through the entire thing, making me think it's probably not real.
I'm with you. I think A is real and B is false.
Oh, both wrong. B is from Luke.
Really?
Luke chapter 12, verse 16 through 21. I did skip the part where the man says to himself, "You have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry."
That would have given it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's like the 100 monkeys with the 100 typewriters. Like, eventually there will be a decent story somewhere in eternity.
Accidentally, somebody will he'll trip on his words. And
The 747
make some
will
sense.
assemble itself.
But what a stupid fucking story. I have too much grain. My barn isn't big enough.
Right.
What's the solution? A bigger barn.
I'll make a bigger barn,
Okay.
and then God's like, "Psych, you're dead. Now who's it for, asshole?"
Well, that's the vanity of having a bigger barn.
Yeah,
Of-
exactly.
Of harvests.
Yeah.
The vanity of harvest.
The vanity of wanting to not starve
and-
to death in the future.
And of feeling good that you actually have more than you need, and hooray for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. This one I'm calling the lightning round. We're going to do fairly quick ones.
Okay.
And it's just a yes or no on all of them. Here we
Okay.
go. He said to the crowd, it starts with the word he said to the crowd, "When you see a cloud rising in the west, immediately you say it's going to rain, and it does. And when the south wind blows, you say it's going to be hot, and it does. Hypocrites! You know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky. How is it that you don't know how to interpret this present time? Why don't you judge for yourselves what is right? As you are going with your adversary to the magistrate, try hard to be reconciled on the way, or your adversary may drag you off to the judge, and the judge turn you over to the officer, and the officer throw you into the prison. I tell you, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny."
Oh, these are the short ones, huh?
Yeah.
This is. I did like the explanation of the judicial system in there. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's real.
I'm going false.
It's real.
It was incoherent, Doug.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's number 2. But he looked to them and said, "Behold, which of you will dwell in the room when the Son of Man sits on his throne? I say to you that every shepherd cares for his sheep, and a goatherd for his goats. But though he is vigilant, does he not also eat of his flock, and wear the wool thereof? Who, therefore, is safe?"
I'm going.
See, I think the shepherd's a trick.
I'm going false.
I think you throw a shepherd in there, it's going to get you some Bible authenticity.
Right.
I think it's false.
Dan, chapter 3. That's an Uncle Dan right there. All right.
Nah, the shepherd was too easy.
I didn't get you on that one. We'll
Yeah.
see. Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, and went to look for fruit on it, but did not find any. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, "For 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree, and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should we use up the soil?" "Sir," the man replied, "leave it alone for 1 more year, and I'll dig around it and fertilize it. If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down."
It's like a garden show. Like what's the point of this whole story?
Why haven't you been putting fertilizer around your fucking tree for the last 3 years?
Yeah, why are you mad at the guy who
Damn idiot.
I think fig tree kind of smells like shepherd.
Yeah. Are you going false?
Going false.
I'm going to go true. Just to differ with you.
Yeah.
Luke chapter 13.
We're at a dead heat now.
All right, here we go. One more in the lightning round.
Is this the tiebreaker?
This is the lightning round. I haven't been keeping track of who's ahead.
We're tied.
Oh, believe me, I have.
Okay, then Jesus asked, "What is the kingdom of God like? What shall I compare it to? It is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his garden. It grew and became a tree, and the birds perched in its branches." Again he asked, "What shall I compare the kingdom of God to? It is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough."
It's too dumb for Dan.
It's too dumb. I can't even take it seriously.
It's really dumb, but I'm going to go with true.
Yeah, me too.
It is true. I don't think I could write something that idiotic. Like,
That's exactly what I thought.
does a
Why
mustard
does
seed
he-
grow into a tree?
Well, I guess.
I don't
Like,
know.
mustard is not a tree, is it?
It's a little bush. I
It's a
think.
condiment.
It's like fucking morons.
Beautiful on bratwurst. The idea of a parable is to take a complex idea and to make it simpler to understand.
Right.
Right, you don't take a
or give
simple
you-
to understand idea and make it dizzyingly, narratively complex with footnotes and addenda
Right.
to simple.
Wait. Let me try something on you.
All right.
Imagine yeast in about 60 pounds of flour.
I do it all the time.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
God.
There you go.
Right?
It's a
All right.
transformative thing.
All right. We're going to do one more. We're going to do one more, and this is a which is true.
All right.
All right.
A or B.
Okay.
All right. Number 1. Then Jesus went through the town. Oh, and by the way, I've juxtaposed, so we'll see. Then Jesus went through the towns and villages, teaching as he made his way to Jerusalem. Someone asked him, "Lord, are only a few people going to be saved?" He said to them, "Make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. Once the owner of the house gets up and closes the door, you will stand outside knocking and pleading, 'Sir, open the door for us.' But he will answer, 'I don't know you or where you come from.' Then you will say, 'We ate and drank with you and taught in our streets.' But he will reply, 'I don't know you or where you came from. Away from me, all you evildoers.' There will be weeping there and gnashing of teeth when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, but you yourselves thrown out. People will come from the east, west, north, and south, and will take their places at the feet in the kingdom of God. Indeed, there are those who at last will be first, and first who will be last."
That's a true.
Okay, I'm back.
Or then Jesus said to them, "Suppose you have a friend, and you go to him at midnight and say, 'Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread. A friend of mine on a journey has come to me, and I have no food to offer him.'
That's a booty call right there.
And suppose the one inside answers, 'Don't bother me. The door is already locked, and my children and I are in bed. I can't get up and give you anything.' I tell you, even though he will not get up and give you the bread because of friendship, yet because of your shameless audacity, he will surely get up and give you as much as you need. For everyone who asks receives, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened."
I'm going to go true, false.
Yeah, I'm going to go true,
The
false.
first one, either Dan really peppered in the biblical, language.
all the spice.
Yeah, exactly. That's my final answer. True, false.
All right. The answer?
True, false. I think so too.
Both true.
Really?
Both of those are actually in Luke. One of them says once the door is closed, God won't open it, and the other one says once the door is closed, God will. All you have to do is be persistently annoying, and God will open. Shameless audacity is apparently the key to heaven.
Oh my God.
Well, then Christians are doing it right.
Keep annoyingly knocking.
And they're going to heaven.
Literally, that parable just says keep annoying God until he lets you in.
Yeah, because God seems to be a really easily annoyed
He
character.
seems to be very forgiving about it.
Right.
About most things. So,
Yeah.
gosh.
Wow.
So there you have it, boys. I think we've all learned some valuable lessons.
And no wonder I was so terrible in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
My record is unbroken.
Yeah,
I have learned literally nothing except that the Bible doesn't seem to know what mustard is.
and there you have it. All right. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that.
And let's move on.
Let's move on.
Moving on.
Let's collect our cash and prizes.